If Nicholas P. Trist, T-R-I-S-T, sounds like an imagery-ridden name from some forgotten novel, wait till you hear the plot. Nicholas Trist is an affable character, intelligent, polished, generally optimistic. These qualities are somewhat incongruous because he is impoverished to the point of near destitution. He's working as a clerk for the Wilmington and Baltimore Railroad Company in Pennsylvania. After many so-called promotions, the furthest he will go is a position entitled Paymaster, $112.50 per month. It is in the menial service of the railroad company that Nicholas Trist is to remain for 21 years, relegated to the distant memories of his own past prestige. For you see, once upon a time, Nicholas P. Trist had it all. He'd been a member of our State Department. He'd hobnobbed with senators and congressmen, even with the President of the United States himself. Now here he is, a clerk for the railroad company, discarded and forgotten by his former friends in the highest places, and all because that one time when he disobeyed a direct order from the President. What you've heard has the literary texture of fiction, I know. It is not. It really happened to a man named Nicholas P. Trist, T-R-I-S-T. But why his banishment from Washington? Why is the rest of the story. By April of 1847, it became apparent that Mexico was willing to make peace with the United States. President Polk determined that we should have a peace commissioner with the American Army, someone familiar with the Mexican culture and the Spanish language, and the honor fell upon Nicholas P. Trist, who was then chief clerk of the State Department. With secret orders and a letter signed by the President, emissary Trist set out for Mexico. En route, he told the newspapers too much. Arriving in Veracruz, he told the commanding general of the United States Army too little. Back home, President Polk was getting nervous. Shortly after peace negotiations began, Trist sent an unauthorized proposal to Washington. It was his own idea, he said, and he hoped the President liked it. The President did not like it. Obviously, Polk's choice for peace commissioner had been a mistake. He sent a letter to Trist saying as much, ordering the emissary to return. Trist read the letter and then responded with another of his own, explaining that he did not want to return. Unprecedented, and yet, as the infuriated President searched for new adjectives by which to denigrate Nicholas Trist, Trist remained in Mexico, negotiated on his own. And February 2 of 1848, again without any authority to do so, he signed a treaty with the Mexicans. Well, you know the rest. Nicholas Trist was thereafter banished from government, and his salary was withheld, and he was forced to take a lowly job with a railroad to feed himself and his family. But you know that in spite of it all, the President and the Congress accepted the too-good-to-turn-down treaty, which Mr. Trist had designed and signed. For you see, Nicholas Trist, in direct disobedience to the President of the United States and to the subsequent ruin of his own political career, he had chosen to stay in Mexico and to act on his own and to negotiate for us, U.S. He got for us what is now a fraction of Wyoming and Colorado and all of Arizona and all of New Mexico and all of Utah and Nevada and California. Now you know the rest of the story.
And now the rest of the story. Nicholas Trist was certainly a controversial figure at the time. But before we pass judgment one way or the other, we need to know a little bit more about the man, Nicholas Trist. Nicholas Philip Trist was born on June 2, 1800, in Charlottesville, Virginia. Nicholas had some impressive connections. His grandmother, Elizabeth Trist, was a friend of Thomas Jefferson, the Thomas Jefferson. Thomas Jefferson's home, Monticello, behind me, it's located just outside Charlottesville. Now, if you've never taken a tour of Monticello, you should add it to your list of places to visit. I've been several times and learned something new on each visit, and I'm anxious to go back. In 1803, Thomas Jefferson offered Nicholas's father the post of customs collector at what is now Natchez, Mississippi. Young Nicholas moved with his family to the Louisiana frontier. In 1817, Nicholas graduated from the College of Orleans. After his graduation, Thomas Jefferson invited Nicholas to visit Monticello. During his visit, Nicholas met and fell in love with Virginia Jefferson Randolph, granddaughter of Thomas Jefferson. In the following year, 1818, Nicholas attended the United States Military Academy at West Point. But Nicholas was more interested in law than in the military. In June 1821, Nicholas returned to Monticello, where he and Virginia were engaged. Nicholas and Virginia rejoined Nicholas's family in the great state of Louisiana. In the spring of 1823, when Nicholas's mother died unexpectedly, Nicholas and Virginia returned to Monticello, and Nicholas studied law under the tutelage of Thomas Jefferson. In the 1820s, Nicholas served as Thomas Jefferson's personal secretary. September the 11th, 1824, Nicholas married Virginia Jefferson Randolph at Monticello. When Thomas Jefferson died on Independence Day, July 4th, 1826, the 50th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence, Nicholas became the executor of Thomas Jefferson's estate. From 1828 to 1832, Nicholas served as a clerk in the U.S. State Department. During that time, in 1831, he served as private secretary to President Andrew Jackson. In 1833, President Jackson appointed Nicholas U.S. Consul in Havana, Cuba, which was a Spanish territory at the time. Nicholas, a proponent of slavery, invested heavily in a sugar plantation. According to a report by British Commissioner Richard Robert Madden, Nicholas used his post to promote slavery for his own financial benefit. In 1840, following a congressional investigation, Nicholas lost his appointment, but he remained in Cuba. In 1845, President James Polk appointed Nicholas chief clerk in the State Department. In the same year, the United States annexed the Republic of Texas. In December 1845, Texas was admitted as the 28th state. And although the Republic of Texas had declared independence from the Republic of Mexico 9 years earlier, Mexico still considered Texas as Mexican territory. Between 1846 and 1848, the United States and Mexico were at war. In 1847, President Polk sent Nicholas to negotiate with the Mexican government, as Mr. Harvey explained. Unhappy with Nicholas's conduct, President Polk ordered Nicholas to return to the United States. As Mr. Harvey explained, Nicholas ignored the order and refused to leave Mexico. Mr. Harvey told us that Nicholas wrote a letter to the President detailing his reasons for staying. But his letter was more than just a page or two. In his 65-page letter, Nicholas explained that rather than the plans for armistice with Mexico, which included an offer of up to $30 million if he could gain ownership of Baja California, among other southern territory from Mexico, or $20 million if he could not gain this territory, Nicholas planned to offer just $15 million. Newspapers in the United States reported the rumor that orders have been forwarded to Major General Butler to arrest Mr. Nicholas Trist and send him home. On February the 2nd, 1848, as Mr. Harvey explained, without the permission or authority of the United States, Nicholas negotiated the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo, which ended the Mexican-American War. However, during negotiations, whether by accident or as part of an extended negotiation, Nicholas drew the border between the United States and Mexico from Yuma to what is now San Diego, rather than from Yuma south to the Gulf of California, which left Baja California as Mexican territory. Now, the Baja Peninsula contains just over 55,600 square miles of land. President Polk was furious that Nicholas refused his order to return to the United States, and was even more furious when he learned the deal Nicholas made did not include the Baja Peninsula. But once the press published news of the treaty, President Polk had little choice but to approve it. President Polk was happy with the land acquisition, with the exception of not including the Baja Peninsula. He was happy with the price, but he was certainly more than unhappy with Nicholas's refusal to return to the United States and for making the deal without his input. When Nicholas returned to Washington, he was fired for insubordination. The government paid Nicholas's wages and expenses up until the time he refused the recall order, but not after. Although the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo ended the Mexican-American War and added territory to the United States, Nicholas's actions ruined his political career. Nicholas, Virginia, and their 3 children struggled financially. Nicholas and the family lived in Westchester, then Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, where Nicholas worked as a railroad clerk and paymaster. Then the family moved to Alexandria, Virginia, where Nicholas worked as the city's postmaster. In February 1871, Charles Sumner, senator from Massachusetts, argued for a bill to appropriate $14,000 to Nicholas as compensation for negotiating the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo. Senator Sumner argued that Nicholas was aged and was nearing the end of his life. Those opposed to the bill argued that Nicholas acted without the authority and in defiance of the government. But finally, in July 1871, after months of debate, Congress paid Nicholas $13,762.40, being balance due on account of salary, outfit, and return allowance as commissioner to Mexico from April 15, 1847 to April 1848, and an additional $797.50 for contingent expenses incurred. That's a total of $14,559.90, which, adjusted for inflation, is about $366,450 in today's money. Wow. 4 years later, on February the 11th, 1874, Nicholas Trist died at his home in Alexandria, Virginia. Charles Sumner, the senator who argued for Nicholas Trist to receive his proper pay because he was nearing death, died of a heart attack exactly 1 month to the day after Nicholas Trist, March 11, 1874. A statue of Charles Sumner sits in Harvard Square in Cambridge, Massachusetts. There is no statue to Nicholas Trist. So what do you think about our Nicholas Trist here? He negotiated the end of a war. He increased the size of the United States. But it seems he did the right thing, but went about it in the wrong way, as many of us do in our daily lives. We do the right things, sometimes in the wrong way. I'm Brad Dison. Thanks for watching. And as Paul Harvey would say, good day.